Alright, hello everyone, welcome back warrior students. So this is the second video on the dual wielded guide series for warrior, and in this video we are going to talk a little bit more about rotation, and I'm give you a little bit of fun interactions between your class mechanics and some stats that you want to be aware of. So yeah, let's just start with the stats, and first of all we need to talk about hit rating. We kinda did in the last video, but we are going to dive deeper in here. So your hit rating, basically you want to have your soft cap, which is 9 or 6%, and that means that your yellows will not miss the target. Then if you put a weapon basically into your offhand together with a weapon in your main hand, you get the extra miss penalty for your white hits, but this gets countered by heroic strike, right? So every time you have a lot of rage available, you're going to use a lot of heroic strikes. So every time you get a lot of rage, your hit rating that goes above your soft cap will lose out on value. So every time, for example, you pull recklessness or you're in burst cities, hit rating above soft cap loses value. Every time you get rage through boss mechanics or through damage taken, it loses out on value. And every time you increase your gear, this will mean that you increase your rage gain, hit loses out on value again. And this is not everything. The more or the better you are with playing your rotation, the more your hit rating loses out on value, and we are going to dive deeper in that when we go to the rotation part, to the actual rotation part of the video. So yeah, this is kinda interesting about hit, and you want to find your sweet spot, which is not only determined by your gear, it's determined by fight length, it's determined by the cooldowns you have available, the buffs you have on you. Did I say gear? Yes, I said gear, I think, and it's determined by the boss you're fighting, because some bosses give you rage, some bosses don't give you rage, and therefore you can't really sim your and again, by your ability to play the class, so you cannot go ahead and just sim your sweet spot, because it will be different on every boss, in every group, every time you get a new gear piece. So you want to get a feeling for this, and yeah. So if you find yourself getting into more or less Ragestarve situations, or situations in which your Flurry Stacks run out a lot, then you can think about adding more hit into your gear. But yeah, just so that you know. Then I want to give you a fun interaction, or at least I find it kind of funny, about crit rating. So crit rating, until a certain point, will increase your average DPS the most out of all your stats, but at the same time, every little bit of crit that you gain will decrease your maximum DPS potential. And this is because, first of all, every time you will use recklessness, every little bit of crit rating you have grants you 0 value for this time. So every crit rating that you have that would otherwise maybe be strength or armor pen or haste rating would be way more efficient while you have recklessness active. And that's not everything. So let's think about, if we have 1% crit, it doesn't mean that we crit 1 hit out of 100, and it could be that we crit 100 attacks out of 100 attacks with 1% crit. So your highest crit damage potential basically would be at the lowest crit you can get, and the same would apply to hit rating. So there is kinda a way to try and cheese logs with going for the lowest amount of crit and hit you can possibly get, and then you only go for strength and armor pen or haste or whatever is available, basically avoid crit and hit at all costs to get your maximum damage potential. This is kind of funny, and I tried this on back in the day in BFA on retail servers, and I got some success with this. Like, I got some 100 passes with going for as low crit as possible, just to try and get lucky. And yeah, sometimes it works, which is kind of funny. it's not really advised for doing average, like good DPS on average, but yeah, if you want to try your luck and cheese a little bit, cheese parses a little bit, then you there's a way how you can do it basically. Alright, so let's dive into the rotation part of the video. Alright, so let's get to the interesting part. Rotation, optimization, fine-tuning, everything like this. Yeah, how I approach something like this if I get into a new spec, specialization, or if I get into like a new add-on or anything like this, I basically just drive my rotation by most of the time I first look how the basic rotation should be played on icy veins or something like this, and then I just do the rotation and try to think about what is going on, and then I just simply try out to add things to the rotation or do things differently and see how this works for me. Like changing small things here and there, give myself some rules that seem in my mind at least like a good idea. For example, never drain rage below 30, because it could mean that you delay your bloodthirst, or never drain rage below 50 even, because this could mean that you cannot use bloodthirst immediately after that whirlwind. There's only examples, not that I did that here, but this is basically my approach, and then I do just a shit ton of practice, like hours and hours and hours, and my understanding of the rotation will get deeper and deeper, and I will be able to think about what I can do. Sometimes then when I turn off the PC, I think about what I learned and something like this, so it gets a little bit crazy maybe for some of you guys, but yeah, so what have I learned? So first of all, I learned that the worst thing that can happen to you is a Ragestarve situation, and this is mostly because of the way Flurry works. So if you are like, Flurry gets procced by any crit, basically, like hamstring. Every yellow that crits is a Flurry proc, every white hit that crits is a Flurry proc, but it get only consumed by white hits and extra attack procs like Wind Fury or Sword Spec. So if you are in a situation where you can only do white hits because you don't have enough rage to use styles like Heroic Strike, or use hamstring, or basically use no buttons other than white hits, obviously in these situations the chances that your Flurry Stacks will actually run out is a lot higher. And if your Flurry Stacks run out, this means that you have less rage because you have less attack speed, and therefore there is a chance that this Ragestarve situation will just continue until you basically get lucky, or basically your unlucky streak breaks. Because if you are unlucky, you get a lot of misses, parries, dodges, you name it, and no extra attack procs, and yeah, then you can really chain this this Ragestarve situation can basically go on forever if you are really unlucky. And I had this happen a couple of times, that there was like 8 seconds in a scenario where I couldn't press any buttons, and this is because I drained my rage so low that I cannot use any yellows. And when you then get 3 misses in a row, or dodge or parry or anything like this, and no extra attack procs, or you get an extra attack proc but the extra attack proc misses as well, or glances, then things going basically turns to shit. And this is again one reason why you need less hit if you're better with your class, because if you're good, you do not find yourself in a Ragestarve situation. And the thing that helps you the most when you are in a Ragestarve situation is obviously hit, because if you hit, you have a chance for extra attack proc, you have a chance for a crit, and so on. So yeah, this again shows you that hit is less important the better you play. I experimented, like I said, a lot, and I noticed that Flurry Stacks are pretty important. Sometimes you maybe want to throw out the hamstring to get the chance to refresh your Flurry Stacks, and therefore I made the Weak Aura that shows 3 little shaman heads over my character, and each of those shaman heads shows me 1 Flurry Stack. So this is Flurry Stack number 3, this is Flurry Stack number 2, and this is Flurry Stack number 1. So I found this weak aura not only to be extremely stylish, but as well to be kinda helpful at some situations when I have the time and the skill to watch out for Flurry Stacks and maybe opt for a hamstring here and there. You can use pummel as well to get a little bit of extra style points, because pummel on some classes just looks extremely awesome. For example, undead female, the pummel animation is really cool, so yeah, try to go for this if you want to earn some style points. Then the other thing that I noticed is that I never want to lock myself out of a bloodthirst via GCD. So to address this, or to make it easier for me that it won't happen, I made it so that my weak aura that shows the cooldown of my bloodthirst will glow if the duration of the weak aura, which is just the cooldown of bloodthirst, is at 1 and 1.7 seconds or below. Why 1.7 and not 1.5? I added the average human reaction time into the account as well, because if I see the weak aura shows the glowing effect, and then I need a couple of milliseconds to realize that it actually glowed and what this means. This is my reaction time, right? So therefore I added a little bit. I added 200 milliseconds to the glowing effect, so that I don't accidentally still press a hamstring, even though my bloodthirst will be on off CD soon as well. And I added the same thing for Whirlwind, because of AoE. So if I'm at single target, I kinda ignore the glowing effect on the Whirlwind, but if I'm at the multi-target over there, I will not ignore the glow effect on the on the Whirlwind, obviously. So all these weak auras will be in the video description below. So alright, 3 more things we have to talk about. So first of all, how you want to use Heroic Strike if you do not use Heroic Strike cheese. Heroic Strike cheese will be at the end of the video, because it's the thing that gave me the most DPS increase, and therefore we saved the best for last, I guess. So how you want to use Heroic Strike. So most of you guys know that if you have Heroic Strike queued on your main hand, by the way, the swing timer that is above my rage bar is the one for my main hand, and the swing timer that is above that is the one for my offhand. So if your Heroic Strike is queued on your main hand, you can see the Heroic Strike is queued over here on this symbol, then your offhand will benefit from the extra hit chance, if you want to call it like that, as well. So I queue Heroic Strike here, my offhand strikes and cannot miss, basically, unless the enemy dodges, or unless I don't have my hit soft cap, which we don't going to assume. So, and this would be everything about this topic if there wouldn't be something that is called latency. If you're coming from my Slam Spec videos, you will understand what I mean a lot faster, but if you don't, I need to explain it really good here. And you can see those 2 markers on my swing timer, right? And those markers tell me when the swing actually came through, because when the swing timer hits the value 0, you might think that this is the moment when your swing goes through, but this is not the case. It's only if your swing timer hits 0, it's only the time when your game tells you that the hit came through. So you get your white number and you get your character animation when your swing timer hits 0. However, the swing was already casted at this point. And the moment when the swing was actually casted, I can see on those latency ticks. Why is this important? It's important because I do not want to use Heroic Strike a millisecond before my auto attack comes through, because this will mean that my heroic strike is only queued for a split second, and this will decrease the chances of me hitting my offhand with the heroic strike benefits, will decrease my chances to do that actually by a lot. This should just make sense, because if I queue it right at the start of my swing timer, or with other words, right on my marker here, I can maximize the time in which my heroic strike is actually queued, and therefore maximize the chances or maximize the numbers of offhand hits I can provide with the extra hit benefit. Alright, so how you want to set up a tick like this is you type in /WA in your chat, and then you select your swing timer in your list, in the list of your Weakauras on the left side. Then you go to display, and then you can add ticks on the bottom here. You click add tick, and then you select, put the drop down, select it to add value, and then you type in a value that is a little bit, that is like very high, for example, but it most likely is a 0 point something number. So you could first try out with 0.50. Okay, then you click OK, and then you can see the tick here is now at the value of 0.50, so it's a half a second. Yes, and then you just simply try and press your heroic strike while the swing timer, or when the swing timer hits your tick marker. So let me click this attack speed buff off real quick, and you can see the heroic strike was casted. So this means the tick value is too high. We need to lower the tick value a little bit. So let's lower the value to 30. I would suggest you go now to 45 or something, but I already know that it's at 30 something. So you just work your way down in the numbers, and then you always try to hit heroic strike on the marker. And if you hit it on the marker and it's still queued after your hit came through on your monitor, if it's then still queued, that's the number you're looking for. This has to do with your latency. Typically, the higher your latency, the higher the number. However, we had a couple of strange issues with this on our Slam, on our ARMS community, so I can't really give a 100%. I can't really 100%ly confirm how this actually behaves, because there was a couple of strange things that were that people told me, and I have made some strange experiences with this as well. So I would just recommend you work your way down on the numbers, and then at some point you will hit the right number. So you want to do this for your offhand as well, because this will help you later with using heroic strike trick. But basically, try to use heroic strike when your swing timer is not close before the shortly before the latency tick. Basically, do not do it like this. Do it like this. This is one reason why it's also good, or why it's good as well, to just spam heroic strike at the end of your swing timer. If you already have an heroic strike queued, you can then immediately queue the next heroic strike. And this is the way how you want to use them. If you want to chain heroic strikes together, which is a good idea, because then you get into a heroic strike streak, which will make your offhand basically have a 100% hit chance, and you will get a lot of procs, and you will have a lot of flurry uptime while spamming heroic strikes in groups like this. Alright, so next thing on the list is one thing that maybe some of you don't really understand, and this is the reasoning behind 1 point into improved Whirlwind and why this is so good. So if you have 1 point into improved Whirlwind, and only then, you are able to use both of those abilities on CD without delaying one of them. So if I now start just with Bloodthirst, and then I press Whirlwind, now I can press Bloodthirst again without delaying it, obviously, and now I can press Whirlwind without delaying Bloodthirst, and then I can press Bloodthirst again without delaying Whirlwind, and so on and so forth. Because it's 9 seconds cooldown, we can hold them both on cooldown without delaying either of them. So this is very efficient. If you put 2 points into improve Whirlwind, you will increase your DPS on multi-target a little bit, but on single target this won't achieve anything, and you will lose one skill point basically for single target. If you put no points into improved Whirlwind, you will deal less single target DPS and you will deal a lot less AoE DPS. So 1 point in this talent is the magic number, and this just was the reason why that is the case. So, and now we get to the good stuff. Now we are talking about Heroic Strike cheese. So now we all know that if Heroic Strike is queued, our offhand will have a 100% hit chance. But sometimes we don't actually want to use Heroic Strike, because this could actually mean that we are not able to cast Bloodthirst on CD or Whirlwind on CD. So we could be very cheesy here and just queue up Heroic Strike until our offhand hits the target, or until our offhand reaches our latency tick, right? And then we could cancel the Heroic Strike and not let it actually fly. So we will save 12 rage, but we can still cheese out the benefit for our offhand. And this is a method that you can increase your DPS a lot with, because this not only means that you you are able to get more rage, it also means that you don't need to go for as much hit chance as someone who wouldn't use this method. So this method gives you the opportunity to build, like to lose a lot of hit basically in your itemization and still be able to press a lot of buttons basically, so get a lot of flurry uptime. Yeah, how you want to do it. So basic idea, I already told you, queue up Heroic Strike and then cancel it when your offhand hits the latency marker. How you want to cancel it? With a stopcast macro for dual wield. If you use Heroic Strike trick on a slam spec, this is not the right way to do it. Do not use stopcast if you're using Heroic Strike trick on slam spec. But if you're using dual wield, the best method to cancel Heroic Strike is a stopcast macro. So, but when you want to use it. So I found it to be very good if I basically do my rotation and then I start banking up rage with Heroic Strike trick. I'm not like mentally or physically able to do Heroic Strike trick while I'm performing my rotation, so I most of the time use Heroic Strike trick while I am while my buttons are basically on cooldown, you know. And I like to spam Heroic Strike when I have a lot of rage, because spamming Heroic Strikes can lead into proc streaks of extra attack procs and crits, and can feed you a lot of rage and can continue your Heroic Strike spam streak, if you want to call it like this. Yeah, you can basically, with a little bit of luck, you can sustain your Heroic Strike spamming. And yeah, this, you have a higher chance to actually to reach this proc chain, or to trigger this lucky proc chain, if you start heroic strike spamming with more rage than, yeah, with less rage. I think this makes sense as well, because you have more time for the proc chain actually to occur. So what I like to do is drive rotation, cheese my way up to a rage level that I think that I am comfortable with, starting heroic strike spamming. Then I start heroic strike spamming, basically hope for proc chain. If it doesn't occur, I just press my 2 rotation buttons again, and then cheese my way up to the level of rage I'm comfortable with, starting heroic strike spamming. This needs a lot of practice, and I suggest again use the PTR or use the dummies in blasted lands, because I think exercising this only in raid scenarios will take you a lot of raid IDs to actually get it down properly, because you can make a lot of mistakes. You can scuff yourself, like you can Ragestarve yourself, and you can also, or as well, overcap on rage if you do it wrong. And yeah, so this method can give you DPS, but if done wrong, it will decrease your DPS as well. So yeah, now we will have one DPS test where I try to show you everything I told you to in practice. And yeah, the next video will be focused more around Kebab Warrior. So until then, stay tuned and take care. Here you can see me actually do some mistakes in this test, obviously. First, build up some Thunder Armor stacks for the burst. I just do it with every test. I need to swap screen, place down totem, then use drums, bloodlust, death wish first, and then go bursting. You can see my beautiful weak aura here that is doing these effects that you see right now. It's not the video effect, it's from a weak aura actually. I know it's kinda dumb, but I think it's pretty funny, or it provides a lot of fun while playing things like this. Yeah, so procs are really nice here. Actually overcapping a lot of rage, I think, but sometimes can't really do anything about that. Flurry Stacks completely ran out, now they're back up. They're trying to cheese my way up here with heroic strike cheese. Yeah, worked, I guess, a little bit. I overcapped rage again. I don't know if it's because of I cheesed too much, or if it was just unlucky. They're very quick and small heroic strike cheeses sometimes. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of practice with using heroic strike cheese, so it's still very hard for me. There was a big hiccup, as you have seen. Yeah, trying to cheese my way back up there. Yeah, it gets pretty insane if you try to use heroic strike cheese basically on every opportunity. If you are on low, like medium to low rage level, and then still do like Bloodthirst Whirlwind on CD, and then maybe throw in a hamstring to refresh your like to get Flurry Stacks if they run out. Yeah, it's absolutely insane actually. But it will increase your DPS if done right, that's for sure. And sometimes you get like, yeah, sometimes you do it like 3 times in a row, like very good. And yeah, feels pretty awesome actually. It's super hardcore, fast paced. Guess how Fury should feel. I mean, if you don't use those things, it's just a mindless spammerino, Al Pacino. But if you add things like this, then it gets absolutely super hectic and super hardcore difficult. So yeah, wish you good luck and fun while practicing.